It's dawn, and someone is knocking on your door. You already know what it means, because nobody in this village knocks on your door for any other reason. Nobody visits you. Nobody sits with you. There's only one thing they ever want. Someone has died, and you are the only person who can save their soul. You're going to do it by eating breakfast off their corpse. Welcome to the worst job in history. You are a sin eater. This is England, a few hundred years ago, or the hills of Wales, or the quiet border counties in between. And here, people believe something terrifying. They believe that if you die with your sins still on you, the lies, the cruelties, the things you never confessed, your soul doesn't rest. It's trapped. It wanders. It cannot get into heaven. But there's a loophole. Those sins can be moved, lifted off the dead, and loaded onto someone else. Someone willing to take them. Someone like you. So you pull on your coat and you walk. And as you come up the lane, you watch it happen. The thing that happens everywhere you go. People look away. A mother pulls her child indoors. Because to them, you are not quite a person anymore. You're something unclean. You reach the house. The body is laid out on the table, washed and still. And on the dead man's chest, the family has placed two things: a loaf of bread and a bowl of ale. Everyone steps back. This is the part only you can do. You take the bread from the corpse and you eat it. You take the bowl and you drink it down in one go. And as you do, the family believes the dead man's sins are leaving him and soaking into you. We have an actual account of this, written down in the 1600s by a man named John Aubrey. A loaf handed to the sin-eater over the body, and a bowl of beer, which he drank up. And there are words you're meant to say, words passed down with the ritual. I give easement and rest now to thee, dear man, that ye walk not down the lanes or in our meadows. And for thy peace, I pawn my own soul. Read that last part again. For a stranger's peace, you pawn your own soul. And for that, for taking on the sins of the dead, you are paid a groat. 4 pennies. That's it. 4 pennies to carry another human being's darkest secrets into the next life with you. But the pennies were never the real cost. The real cost is the rest of your life. Because here's what nobody tells you about being a sin eater. It never washes off. You don't carry just this one man's sins. You carry every soul you've ever eaten for. Funeral after funeral, body after body, all of it stacking up inside one person. You become the place a whole village puts its guilt. And so they need you desperately at the worst moment of their lives, and they cannot stand to be near you for 1 second longer than that. So why did this job exist at all? Why would anyone invent something so bleak? It comes down to a crack in history. For centuries, in Catholic England, a dying person could confess to a priest and be absolved, cleaned, before the end. But after the Reformation, that machinery broke. The priest, the confession, the absolution. For many ordinary people, it was gone. And the fear didn't go with it. People were still terrified of dying dirty. So they built their own fix out in the villages with bread and ale and a desperate man at the edge of town. The church called it superstition, sacrilege even. And yet, quietly, for hundreds of years, the local vicar would look the other way and let it happen. By the 1800s, the practice was finally dying out, and the last known sin-eater in all of England has a name: Richard Munslow. He lived in a village called Ratlinghope in Shropshire, and he died in 1906. But here's the twist that makes Munslow different from every sin-eater before him. He wasn't poor. He wasn't an outcast, scraping for 4 pennies. Richard Munslow was a respectable, well-off farmer. He didn't need the money. He didn't need the job. So why on earth would a man like that choose to become the village's sin-eater? The likely answer is the saddest one. Just a few years earlier, Munslow had lost 3 of his own children to scarlet fever in a single week. And maybe, a man who had watched his own children die wanted, more than anything, to believe that something could still be done for the dead, that a soul could still be helped. That grief had somewhere to go. He may be the only sin-eater in history who took up the role not out of poverty, but out of love. And the story doesn't end at his grave. In 2010, more than a century after he died, the people of Rattling Hup raised £1,000 to restore Richard Munslow's headstone, and they held a church service in his honor. It was led by the local vicar, who said the practice was a very odd one, that the church would never have approved of it, and that he had absolutely no desire to bring it back. Sit with that for a second. The village that would once have crossed the road to avoid a sin-eater now tends his grave. The priest whose church called the job sacrilege repaired his headstone and said a prayer over him. That's the quiet ending the sin-eater never got to see. You spend your whole life carrying everyone else's sins, alone, paid in pennies, kept at arm's length. And then, long after you're gone, the people finally come and sit with you. So tonight, you eat the bread, you drink the ale, you speak the words, and you pawn your soul one more time. You pocket your 4 pennies, and you walk home, alone, in the dark, carrying one more stranger's sins on top of all the others. Because that was the deal. Somebody had to agree to be unclean, so that everyone else could be saved.